Welcome back to Noise Avocation Podcast. I'm Ryan here with Jeremy.
How's everybody doing today?
I don't have anything in particular special or anything like that to get out for you.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So we've been trying to make this interview happen for a while, and we finally got our schedules to link up. But today we have Brenden from Over and Out Recordings with us, and if you're unfamiliar, you can find the link to his page in our episode description. He releases records, CDs. I think he's done a couple tapes I've seen on there. Wasn't there a spring break tape? And he does a lot of like Detroit hardcore stuff, but there's been a few other things on there, but all really fucking awesome releases. Most recently, you've probably seen the Never Ending Game release that he put out. He did Remembering Never a while back, Tyrant, some Hellmouth demos, all sorts of, everything that's on there is fucking awesome. Enemy of God. Definitely go check out his page, support him, follow him on Instagram, follow us on Instagram if for whatever reason you're not yet.
You should be already.
We do have TikTok as well. I'm not quite as active on it, but I'm trying to be. I just really don't like it. If I'm being honest. I mean, but it is what it is. Like it does seem to get a lot of exposure, so we'll keep working on that. We're going to be doing some more stuff with our YouTube soon, too. I've been staying more active, posting all the episodes on YouTube, so follow us on YouTube, even though we're not visual at this time. Like, if you use that to listen to your podcasts, we are on there, too. Subscribe to us, share the stuff. Everything helps out, but unless you have anything, Jeremy, we'll jump into the interview with Brenden.
Well, let's get into it.
All right, so Brenden from Over and Out Recordings, thanks for jumping on the show, man. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me.
It's been a while. Like, we've been back and forth scheduling. Like, we finally found a day that actually worked out for all of us.
Oh, yeah, less chaotic. I mean, I have kids. Do both of you have kids or just one of you?
We both do.
Okay, so you understand the life, Yep. Chaos.
Oh, yeah, I get it. 100%.
It's like it's fucking All Out War soundtrack every day.
Oh, well, it's funny you mentioned All Out War. I was going through, like the Facebook timeline things.
Yeah.
I came across a picture of my youngest daughter holding up an All Out War record from a few years ago. She was listening to some All Out War with me.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we interviewed Mike a while back. It was a lot of fun to talk to that guy. He was really cool.
Yeah, no, Mike's a cool guy. Yeah, only met him a few times, but always nice conversations.
Yeah, he was really cool, down to earth, nice. Like, to me, I don't know. I've listened to All Out War since like junior high, so never did I really think I'd be sitting there talking to Mike Score.
Well, I think that's something that's cool about hardcore is like, you got your rock stars in the scene, but at the end of the day, we're all just, people. None of us are, above anyone else. And it's like when I first started this label, I started as like an outlet for my own bands at the time. Mm-hmm. But then I hit up Dwid and I was like, oh, let's do some Integrity t-shirts. We're kind of acquaintances through some other outlets and, talking to Dwid and just like becoming friends with him. And, we talk every so often, just, nonchalantly about our families and stuff. And like, that was a dude I idolized. And now we were business partners and now we're friends. And like some person I thought was larger than life that'd be totally out of my reach. And look where we're at now. And that's like the story for so many people within the hardcore scene. Like nothing's out of reach. You got, like I said, you got some of your rock stars in the scene, but they're very few and far between.
Yeah. And they don't have that whole like Tommy Lee ego.
And if they do, they get their fucking asses kicked.
Yeah.
Sometimes, for sure, yeah.
Or anyway, they used to.
I guess we'll jump into, like, how did you put this whole label together? Like, what made you want to start your own label? I know your Instagram says it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's putting out records that I love.
You wanted to put out your own music, you said?
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of started, I think, 2013, 2014, I started kind of bouncing around the idea. So I was in this band called Not Okay years ago. We were around, we started in like 2009-ish, put out a EP in 2012. And then we did like a CD. And me and my buddy James, that was played guitar in that band, we were just kind of like doing some other music and stuff, and we're like having a hard time really getting someone to care about it, to be honest. So we're like, well, let's just do it ourselves. So it's kind of started off as like him and I partnering together, and then he kind of fizzled out, did his own thing. But so he put out the Not Okay EP on cassette. I did some other thing. I did this band Rest and Shit I was in, did a cassette for that. And then
Bitchin'
the
title.
first actual, the first actual release that I did that was vinyl was And Hell Follow With Domain, which was Nick Holland, who was in Rest and Shit with me, his deathcore band from the early 2000s. But the whole idea of really like also starting a label, I was inspired by people around me. My friend Eric Scobie, who runs Dropping Bombs, who's great reversals, Pillar of Light. I had some other people that that I really look up to. I'm like, I could do this too. And so it started off as selfish reasons, put my own things out. But then when it was kind of around the time that I'm a big nostalgia freak. I live on nostalgia. So a lot of labels were kind of putting out things from the past. I'm like, well, there's so much stuff from the early 2000s that has not been put out. Mm-hmm. So I shot my shot with a lot of people. I got a lot of no's, and then I struck some pretty good deals. But I guess I should go back a little bit. So between And How Follow With and some of my, reissue releases, I did an Integrity release. So we did some T-shirts, like the Smash Racism ones and stuff like that. There was, if you don't know, kind of like before Integrity started, before they had any music, they had like stickers and shirts. And it said the candy bar logo, had the bats, and it said Smash Racism. They would just fucking smack them everywhere. And they were almost like a brand before they're even a band.
Right.
So yeah, we did shirts of that. It was pretty cool. And then if you're familiar with their discography, so around the Integrity 2000 days, they came out with a CD called Integ 2000 Project Regenesis. So we did a 7-inch, which is 2 re-recorded songs from that record. It's 1 original and 1 Donna Summer cover. So that was something we did, and that kind of started it off. Or I guess just from there, just kept hitting bands up. I was like, oh, well, I got something with Integrity. Who's
that
next?
Donna Summer cover is fucking hilarious. Dude, I have a copy of it. It's hilarious. Dude.
What song was
it?
it?
It's good.
What's up?
What song was it?
Bad Girls.
Bad Girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some other.
I gotta go back and listen. I don't know if I've heard it or not. I know the Donna
There's
Summer song.
And then the other song is Beneath the Flesh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. So that one was cool too. We did a few different colors. And then we did like a pink fold around cover and stuff, the alternate cover. But that was cool to do. Originally, the idea was to do the full record, but we ended up just doing the 2 songs we recorded.
Okay,
but that was cool.
I have a variant question.
Yeah,
the copy I have came with, it's like a blue and a pink.
Okay, yeah. So I had extra pink ones, so I started throwing some pink ones in there. Nice. Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering.
So
since I have you
here,
got
the double cover. Yeah,
that's what's up.
Yeah, there's probably only 6 or 7 people that have both covers together. So
I'll remember that in 30, 40 years.
Yeah, but and then I started hitting people up. I mean, I've been in the scene for 15 plus years, and I've made friendships here and there. Like the Remember Never record, like I grew up on Remember Never, one of my favorite bands of all time. But yeah. I met Pete because I was in a noise project, and I was playing with his band Ether, and later Ether Coven. And they stayed at my house, and I made good friendships with them. And we were tossing around the idea about doing some vinyl, and I was like, listen, I'll do the whole discography. Like I want to do that. And not really like pushed aside, like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it, whatever. And then when he got diagnosed with cancer, I was like, listen, like, let's put out Women and Children, and let's try and raise some money for your medical funds and stuff. And it did really well, and that was it was really awesome to be a part of that.
That is how I heard about Over and Out Records originally. Was that release?
Yeah, that was definitely a gateway for know my name a little more, which was not what it was about. It was about helping my friend. But it was cool to get that out there. And it was crazy about that too. To this day though, I have people hit me up and they're like, I didn't even know that record was on vinyl. I'm like, yo, we pressed over 900 of those fucking records between 3 presses.
Damn.
If you didn't know about it by now, fuck off. I don't have any left.
Right. Okay, that leads me to my next question, which you've probably been asked 100 million times. Are you gonna do She Looks Good in Red?
No, that's something that Pete was very against.
Yeah, dude, I knew about that, him being like being against it from like way back in the day. Like when I saw him on Remembering Never, or when I saw them on the She Looks Good in Red tour, and then on The Women and Children Die First, it was like totally different, and he wouldn't play any songs from the previous album.
Yeah, I would bug him about it every week, and he knew I would do it in a heartbeat. But at this point, even if the rest of the members at the time were cool about it, I just respect his wishes.
No,
I would have no
wouldn't
part
do
of it.
Yeah, rest in peace to Mean Pete, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's weird, it's like that guy is big in the scene, but to see like the impact of like how many people were affected by it. Now like I get so many records in the mail and it's like says rest in peace Mean Pete of like all over the world the people, and like it's wild, man. He was a great guy, and it sucks, what went down, but it is what it is. That's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually when he passed, I was surprised to see some of the like labels and magazines and stuff that were posting him, because I mean he's rightfully so, but at the same time, like I didn't think he was as well known as he was.
For sure, yeah, no, he's a great guy, and like the thing too, like just as good to say how good of a guy he was, right? We raised a bunch of money for his medical funds, but he still took some of that and put it towards an animal sanctuary. Like that's the kind of guy he was. He's vegan, he's straight edge and vegan, but he cared about, his beliefs and animals so much. Like he put something else before his own health almost. And like,
right.
Wow, that's just the kind of guy he was, he's fucking great. Just too almost too good for this world.
And those are the ones they take, man. It's sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but it is what it is. I mean, we got to do, Suffocates, and that was awesome. It was a bummer because I'm not sure he saw the records before he passed. I sent him a package, and the last message that I sent him wasn't, he didn't get him then. I don't know if he saw him. So it's a bummer, it is what it is, but I'm glad I got to do the 2 records. I guess I can talk about it kind of because I really don't know what the deal is with it, but the original plan was we were going to do Bishop Suicide Party and some Until the End records.
Yeah.
And Bishop still might be happening. Until the End is a little foggy. But we had plans. I know he had plans with Good Fight and stuff too. I don't know what's going on with that in the future now. But yeah, so I am very honored to not only work with him, but all the other bands I've done stuff with, because it is me putting out records I love. I want to get to a point to where I can put out more bands I believe in. Like Enemy of God, that was a total passion thing. I knew it wasn't going to sell, 300 copies in a day.
Right.
And it's something that I love that band. I want to put them out. But like the fact is, I'm a dad of 3, and I don't have, this luxurious job where I'm making millions of dollars. So I can't pump a bunch of money into releases that I'm not going to get something back on. And it's not about making money, it's about breaking even. Putting out records is not fucking cheap.
So no, I did bank, and you got to maintain too. So
yeah, I did bank on the reissue game for a little bit, just because it's a sure thing. It's like people want these records, and I'll try and provide that for them. And I'm pretty happy with what I've done so far. I think the window is kind of closing for reissues, though. You got a lot of labels doing their own thing. I mean, not that it's totally in the same realm, but you got like Wax Vessel doing their thing, and they're doing the more like MySpace era. You got like Force of Reckoning doing their thing. That's more like North Carolina stuff. Silent Pendulum's doing a lot of reissues, and I feel like maybe some of those realms don't totally cross like the bands I'm doing, but there is like some line. And I know Good Fight, to what I'm told, got a lot of rights back. So they might be doing that stuff. Then you got Trustkill doing all that bullshit with Revolver with those dumb fucking icons things, spending $75 for an NFT.
Oh,
dumb
dude,
as shit.
So fucking retarded.
I seen that.
I hate that fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker. I bought the "This Is Love, This Is Murderous" record. I mean, that's a record that I grew up on. You know, one of my favorites, definitely top 10. That's
Yeah,
the only
I
one I
agree.
bought. Oh, fuck all the
I
others. Like,
totally missed that because when I seen it, like by the time I seen the advertisement for it, it was gone.
yeah, I mean, I think it was. I had some very negative opinions about the whole thing. But it's not my business. Whatever. They suckered me into one record, and that's all they're gonna get me for now. So,
I mean, there ain't
but
really was no other way to get it. Like, I have a really old CD that I don't even think plays anymore. It's all rotted out and stuff. I just have it because the cover's autographed.
yeah. At that Bleeding Through gig, what did you think? You think they sounded good?
Honestly, I left before they played because I thought I don't like that album. I think it sounds dated.
You don't like This Is Love, This Is Murderous?
Like, okay, check this out. When it came out, that was the first album I ever did like a review of in at Aces, and it went in the school thing, which is cool.
Like a written review?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but when I went to see him live, I was so disappointed. Like, Chapetti sounded like shit. It was at the Shelter. I don't know. It didn't sound good. I don't know. And then
Okay.
so I was there to see Let It Die, Walls of Jericho, Suffer No Fools, that they were playing in the other room. So yeah, like I skipped out, honestly, to beat the traffic and get home.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a long drive for you. I mean, yeah. So I thought Bleeding Through sounded great. It sounded phenomenal. I was like kind of surprised. I hadn't seen that band in so long. Maybe the last time I saw them though was at the Majestic, and it was too big of a room, not enough people, sounded like shit. So maybe that had
Yeah.
something to do with it.
But
yeah, that was a great
it's
gig.
That's just, that's my opinion. That's all.
For sure, yeah. And you're entitled to it for sure. I like the Crowfoot. I think the Crowfoot it's almost too nice of a venue for like hardcore shows, but it sounds so fucking good.
Yeah, that place sounds really nice. And now that you mention it, it does kind of remind me of like almost like all the woodwork inside and shit's like, you're right, it's like kind of too nice.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
Pike. I've always liked the Pike room
scheduling
too.
a hardcore band at the Ritz type of thing.
And even God, what do they call it? That little bar off to the side where they had hardcore bands playing, like the like Suffer No Fools. That's where I saw those guys play.
Pike room.
The Pike Room, yeah. Even that's like, it reminds me of like a Star Trek bar or something. The way it's lit up, it's weird.
Yeah, I see some crazy gigs. I saw Dillinger Escape Plan in that gig, and it was fucking nuts.
Inside it, that Pike Room.
Yeah, so
that would be fun as fuck.
They had a barricade for like 2 minutes, and then somebody got their fucking face split open. There was blood everywhere, and they got rid of that barricade pretty fast.
Nice. I don't even know how you could put that room is way too small to even put a barricade in. Like, the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, it was just one of those little metal bars, but
yeah. Well, that's cool.
But yeah. So yeah, I mean, to get back to the label stuff, I mean, it's just it's a passion project, total passion project. Everything I will not put something out that I don't care about. I mean, I get hit up every day about like, oh, listen to my demo. Can you put my band out? And then I'm very honest with them, like, yo, either I'll tell them if I like it, if I don't like it, but I'm also like, I'm not in the realm of putting anything out that how do I say this? Like, I can't put something out that I can't get an immediate something back on. It's just kind of how it is right now.
I get that 100% because I do kind of the same thing at the record store with new records where I have to get a portion of what I know I can sell immediately to make my money back to be able to consistently put out the other stuff. Like I said earlier, you have to maintain what you're putting into it. It's not about making a profit or getting rich off it. Like, you have to be able to eat day to day.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's some records I thought would do well. I'm still sitting on tons of copies. Like Damnation AD, I did 400 or 500 of those. I still have like 120 left, and that's been over 5 years since I put that out.
It's a good album.
But also too, dude, it's insane. Like that's the thing that like how it happened was fucking crazy. All they did was send an email, be like, hey, you want to do this? And it was immediate yes. And I was like, that just blew my mind.
I did, like, thinking back now, your discography is pretty random.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm very all over the place. I mean, at one point in time, I was going to do an acoustic record for a friend of mine. It didn't work out. I mean, we got Sunlight Ascending, which those are some members of some of my older bands.
I like that shit too. That's
Oh
cool
yeah, I
sounding
mean,
shit.
post rock is definitely a passion of mine. I mean, there's a band from Columbus called the End of the Ocean that are some old friends. They're great. I mean, another Akron band, Akron, Ohio band. If These Trees Could Talk, they're fantastic. This Will Destroy You, you know, the little more known band, I guess, but they're really good. But yeah, post rock, and that's the thing too. Like with Sunlight Ascending, I did merch for them for like years. You know, they're some of my best friends, and so I'd go to all the shows and stuff and do whatever. And I saw so many bands that I never would have, you know, even thought about seeing or listening to without those guys. But like, we're just a bunch of like hardcore dudes that are like into post rock, whatever. But there's this band, Afterclang from like Denmark, and like somebody played a show with them, and I was like fucking blown away. Like I never would have heard this band on my own. And but also too, I worked in a venue for like I worked at the Magic Stick for like over 10 years, so kind of same thing with that. A lot of bands I never would have, you know, thought
From
about
my
because I was
standpoint, I'm like, dude, I'd work there just to go to shows, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I mean, I saw just as much bad shit as good shit.
oh yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard from security guard friends and what have you. They're like, dude, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
like, think
I mean,
about the nights that you got to listen to,
Oh,
like,
I've heard
at a
some
bigger
horror
venue
stories.
where you're like, okay, Van Andel's playing Obituary and Cannibal Corpse, and then the next night you got Tim McGraw or something.
Yeah,
Like,
and then the next night you got Kanye
yeah, I don't know, it
or
burned,
whatever.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's fun even when you're watching or like, I like bad things. You know, it's just fun to people watch and shit. So
definitely.
yeah, but yeah, you know, my label's all over the place. Like I said, my music tastes are all over. And I'll keep doing it. I don't have any bands that want to do it with me anymore.
It would be cool if we were talking about this when we interviewed Lenny from Earth Mover, if somebody could re-release the Earth Mover stuff. And I know it isn't just as easy as snapping your fingers and doing it, but if somebody like could pick it up, it'd be fucking sweet, because that stuff is hard to find. Even on CD, it's hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, so I know Jerry from Jack's Record Stash has like a big grip of Earth Mover CDs. Maybe I'll hit him up and see if I can get some for you. But I mean, I would definitely be down to do Earth Mover stuff. I mean, Len's an old friend. I think Gannett, I think that's how you say it, Records maybe owns the rights to it or something, or maybe not even owns it, but they did a lot of
the
the
German
records through
presses.
them. Yeah, so I don't know what their hold is on it, but I mean, yeah, it's something I haven't like really brought to Len's attention, but I mean, he knows, or maybe he doesn't know, but I would do it in a heartbeat, and yeah, it'd be great. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, here's the thing too. There's a lot of Detroit bands that I would love to touch because I love Detroit. It's my passion, you know. Like Detroit hardcore will always be, Michigan hardcore in general will always be close to me.
For sure.
Some bands that I think that, you know, people don't really remember or know about just because they're older. Like there's this band from Flint called Spit, which I've kind of been talks with people of, you know, maybe doing something. Like they're great. I mean, there's tons of old 90s bands, early 2000s bands from Michigan that just got lost, you know, to the time. Maybe they're like a MySpace era band and all that shit's gone. And, you know, I would love to just churn out Michigan release after Michigan release. Like a Coalition would be sick, you know, all sorts of shit. I mean, I could go on forever. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I won't stop doing this until people start telling me, you know, no, and I have more no's and yeses, I guess.
How did that D Block release that you did on a lathe? Did you do that like hand cut lathe?
So that I went through a company called Precarious Cuts for that. They've done some other work for me.
Oh, okay.
They did great jobs. Yeah, so that just kind of came about because it was only on CD and cassette, and I was like, hey, let's do something cool and limited, and just put something out, you know, for some shows coming up, and for like kind of like the diehards, you know, like I'm a big advocate of physical media, physical over digital always. and just something cool to have for the collectors. And like, because the thing is, those things aren't cheap. They're like $13-15 cost. So you got to spend $20 to even make anything,
Holy
or
shit.
charge $20 or so. So they're not cheap. So it's like, these are going to be for the people that really care about the band and did alternate artwork and all that stuff. And it was cool. I mean, those guys are friends of mine too. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of Detroit Hardcore, and that's a band I believe into a lot. I'm really excited that they're doing what they're doing. And that's like, someone like that though, like I would love to just like put them on my roster and be like, hey, they're an over and out band.
And just
But
pump
I
shit out.
also, yeah, I would love to do that. But I also don't want to hold them back, because a band like that, I can't give them what I think they deserve, right? Like, they should be on one of the bigger hardcore labels right now. They should be taking over the fucking world right now. And they are in certain aspects. But like, they were on was Unbeaten, and they did whatever they were doing. I don't know what the deal was with all that, but like, I think they should be a Flat Spot band. Personally, I think that's like the perfect label for them, Flat Spot right now. I don't know if they've been in contact, but they need a label that's going to be able to, get them on tours and promote them and stuff like that. And like, what I do isn't really catered to that. Like, I'm not a promotion kind of thing. I'm just putting out records for bands I love.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, that was the thing that was just for the diehards, just the collectors. The same thing with like Never Ending Game. Like, that was something that like, they're on, a big label. They didn't need to do that shit with me. Like they did it because we're friends, and we kept it Michigan, and obviously we did something with that Ohio label too. But like, it wasn't something that was gonna like push them any further. Like, they're already a huge fucking band,
Dude, they
so it's
sound
like, this was
so
something.
good live too.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're but the thing too, like, they're all like seasoned veterans. Every band they've been in have been fucking great.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, it was a passion thing. It was like, let's do the demo on vinyl. Cool, awesome. But I like an enemy of God. Let's them too. Like, I wish they were on a bigger label. Like, they'd be a great Days band. It's like, I don't know if they don't like maybe tour enough to do that. I don't know like what their deal is. Some labels want bands to get out more, to do whatever business shit. But yeah, I mean, I want to support my friends. I want to do as much as I can for them, but I also don't want to hold them back. It's kind of like a weird thing.
Oh, dude, I totally understand where you're like, you don't have the kind of money to be like, well, here, man, we're gonna put you on this tour, blah blah blah. Like, I can't even imagine,
Yeah,
It's
and I don't want to
work.
make promises I can't keep,
Yeah,
especially with
exactly.
current bands. With current bands, like, they're on a schedule. It's like, you have a certain window. Like, okay, you put your record out online, that shit's going to be forgotten about in 2 fucking weeks. So it's
Yeah,
like, you
it's
need to get
crazy.
those physical copies out ASAP. Like, going back to Days, what I've seen with what they've been doing, because like, when they were, I don't know, let's go back a few years. The vinyl market was fucking crazy. Turnaround times were nuts. So it's like, hey, we got this new band, can't do vinyl, let's do CDs. Vinyl will come later. It's like, get something physical out, and that's kind of what I did with Enemy of God with the CD too. You want to get something out, but you only got a certain window, right? Because I think digital is, honestly, I think is, how to put this. It's like, it's cool because it's right there, right in your face, right away. But at the same time, it's just easily forgotten about because there's just so much shit coming out.
Hey, man, you're
But
preaching
like,
to the choir, man.
Yeah, like as soon as
yeah,
you
I mean,
scroll, you got one artist here, and there's at your fingertips 1,000. Whereas like having a physical piece of media, it's way more personal, and it leaves more of an impression on you, I think, so to say.
sure, yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't look through a thanks list on fucking Spotify.
Right.
You can go to, you got like I guess the equivalent of a thanks list is like the bands, thing on the bottom of like bands that sound like whatever, but it's somewhat similar.
Yeah,
But
but even that's just a generated, like, here's kind of what's in the same genre. It's not like the band was like, here, put this in there, put this artist in there, put this artist in there. Like,
And a lot of the bands we listen
sure.
to, they don't even have a bio on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what was I saying? But yeah, like I said, I want to help my friends out, do what I can, and yeah, just keep doing this as a passion.
well, the Never Ending Game release was your most recent release, right?
Most recent, yeah, that was Honestly,
And
speaking of
that
turnaround time, this shit was crazy.
That seemed to like go quickly. I mean, you still have one variant on the website left, but
Yeah,
I
so
mean, you
Collide
said that
sold.
early. You said that like another album you did, you've been sitting on copies of for like 5 years or whatever, and then now you got stuff selling out the day of or the day after type of thing. Like it's definitely growth.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean, I knew Never Ending Game was going to do well just because they're a current popular band, but
Right.
Collide sold all their copies. They had 80 on their store, and you know, they have the rest of their copies, whatever they're going to do with. I had around about 40 of the mystery copy, and the rest are Never Ending Games are going to get those. And then so I think I sold like 176 or something like for my store, right, out of the 450 after taking care of all the bands and stuff. And I still have like 110 left in the store or something like that. So it did well, but not sold out yet.
I think
I think
I
too,
got a mystery one from you.
dude, they turned out so fucking good. The thing too, though, like what I'm interested in is like, okay, Never Ending Game is a newer band, and it does cater to not totally a younger crowd, but you know, the younger generation of hardcore because they're a current band. I don't know if those kids are collecting vinyl. Like I think like it is like a t-shirt generation. Like a lot of the orders I get are like people that are around my age that have been collecting vinyl for years. And you got some kids in there, but like I talk to a lot of kids and like they don't own records, they don't own record players, and so maybe that has something to do with it. Because like remembering Never, that shit sold out in 2 fucking days, and that was all people you know in their 30s and 40s.
Right.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, a lot of people like at the store that I see and hear just overhear conversations, like I would say a good 50-60% of people buying records don't even own a turntable.
This is crazy.
There was actually an article that I read a few weeks ago that said that was like I think it was like 80 to 85% of people, at least that took the survey, that own records don't own a turntable.
Right.
That's crazy. That's fucking insane. But I worked in a record store for about 8 years, and it was crazy. Like you know, seeing the different generations of people buying records and stuff, like what they were interested in, and I definitely missed that. But within because it's like people would be coming in with their parents, you know, like getting records and stuff, and that was always cool to see what people were into and all that. But yeah, I would like to know how many people in the current hardcore scene that are within 20 to 25 who are actually buying records. That'd be an interesting poll to see.
I think there's a lot of people that would like to, but then like I don't know, for some people, like if you don't have, unless you're just gonna buy like a cheap Crosley or whatever, that is what it is. But for some people, like if you don't have a just knowledge of stereos, it seems overwhelming to set up like a turntable and a stereo receiver and speakers and all that stuff. And some people, I
Definitely,
think,
yeah.
like they're like, I don't know how to work this. I don't know what this does. And then like you get into the technical side of things, and some people I think get deterred from it just because it's overwhelming or can be.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, anyone that comes to me and asks me about equipment and stuff, I'm like, never an all-in-one. Like, don't do that. Like, if you want a system, like, I'll help you pick it out,
Right.
whatever. And, but it is overwhelming. I mean, when I first started collecting records, I was fortunate enough to have or be gifted a very nice record player, and I had some nice speakers and stuff. And my setup has only gotten better since then. But I don't know if you're not around that, yeah, it's just like it's super overwhelming. And I don't know, like how do I put this? Like it is a lot too. It's not just as simple as like, an MP3 player. It's like it takes up a lot of space and like and stuff like that. So it's a whole thing, right? And you guys know that. But also too, records aren't fucking cheap. Like
Yeah, that was gonna
think
be
think
another thing I was gonna bring up with the age
yeah,
group is you're spending
10 years
20 to
ago,
$30 a record on average.
yeah, 10 years ago, I could buy a record that was, like a brand new record for like $15, you know, and like now that same record is $35.
Yeah.
And if it's a metal record, it's probably 50 to 60 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to see
And then
the
everybody has
prices
their
on
own
like Van
variants.
Halen records or like just shit 10,
common
15
shit.
years ago, yeah, you'd see fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And now, yep, ate
Yeah.
right up.
You know what would be really cool
Yeah.
to me is if, so since they made and sold records for $15, $20 a piece at one time, and even cheaper than that way back in the day, and obviously we can't go back to the prices of $3.99 in the 70s and shit, but you would sell so much more if the prices weren't like inflated to the point of you trying to get every single dollar out of people that you can. Like the bigger companies that are always like, we're gonna, you know, on average, our price of this album is $38.98. We're gonna raise that to $42 because of this, that, and the other. When I mean, do you really have to? Like, was 38
Yeah.
not enough?
For sure. And here's the thing too. I have no problem spending money on something that I want. You know, I definitely bought some dumb things,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
get so irritated when I spend, say, like $35, $40 on a record and there's no insert. There's nothing special about it. I'm
dude.
like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
I
it's
hate
like
that shit.
it's a single jacket, no insert, comes in like the cheapest paper sleeve you could possibly find that might as well be like 300 grit sandpaper.
Yeah, it's like I'd almost like buy the CD at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Well, because they're
Yeah, so how long?
charging $50, $60 for an album that should be costing 10 to 20 based on the quality.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how long has your record store been open for?
This year will be 6 years.
Awesome. Cool.
It'll be July 1st, it'll be 6 years. I haven't been here the entire time. A friend of mine opened it, and then I started coming around, pitching business ideas, rearranging things around the store, bringing in new things, bringing in customers, doing social media stuff, and then I just kind of ended up being a half business partner over time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, keep it going. You know, there's never a bad thing to have more record stores. I mean, there's a lot down here. We're definitely spoiled, but my first thing I do when I go somewhere, I'm like, where's the closest record store? Anywhere I'm at. It drives my wife nuts.
I do the same thing. Or if they don't have a record store, I'm like, okay, where's the bookstore? Or where's like an FYE so I can buy some used movies and shit.
Sure. Yeah, that was I have a big movie collection too. Going back to the record store I was working at. So in the town I grew up in a small town called Clawson, which is Metro Detroit still, but it's like right next to Royal Oak area, but it's a smaller town.
Mm-hmm.
There was a video rental store called Thomas Video, and it was like one of the oldest video stores in all of America. It closed down however many years ago, but so I was fortunate enough to be there. They had a lot of messed up movies, but when they closed, they're good friends with the shop I worked at and sold a bunch of movies. And I got so much rare, cool stuff, and that was awesome. I was fortunate enough too to like get them for nothing. Like movie that's like $50, pay like $3 for it. So that was something I really miss about working, at a record store. It's just getting all this cool stuff and not paying the full price for it.
Yeah, you get like anytime collections come in or new releases or whatever, you always have first dibs on things, which there's been a lot of times where I see something and I'm like, man, I would love that, but I got 10 customers that would love that. Sometimes I take it, sometimes the customers get it. I try to let customers get first dibs 90% of the time, but sometimes something comes through and I'm like, oh no, I can't let this go.
For sure. What's the coolest thing that's ever walked through the door for you? Personal thing. It doesn't have to be whatever, just personal for you.
This is like completely unrelated to hardcore, but over the last year there was this band called Scorpion, not Scorpions, like the rock band. And if you're familiar with Motown at all, like the Funk Brothers and all that stuff, the sit-in musicians for Motown, that was their original band before going to Motown. And it's like kind of political jazz funk fusion type of stuff. It's really cool, but it was the only time it's ever been released. It was like 1962 or 63 or something like that. It's only got one record pressing ever. It was super fucking rare, cool cover. I'll send you a picture of it when I get home. But I would say that is definitely up there. I've come across like first pressings of like Smith's records and Talking Heads and stuff like that.
Those Cramps ones were pretty dope.
The Cramps things, yeah, we just got some original Cramps stuff not that long ago.
Okay.
We had some dude, an old guy, come in, I don't know, 6-7 months ago with a box of records. And he just goes, here, you can have them. He's like, I don't want them anymore. They've been taking up space in my house. And he had like this original print Lords of Acid record in there that was like $450. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was in like a pile of like Neil Diamond and like Rod Stewart and just typical like everyday dollar record shit that you would see. And it just was so out of place.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. There was a guy that passed away. It was how many years ago it was, and thousands of records. We bought so many records and going through, and it's like a lot of weird, a lot of jazz and stuff, right?
Right.
But stuff all over the place. Then got to the soundtracks, and there was like some original horror, like Shining, Dawn of the Dead, stuff like that. I'm like, super cool. Then I started getting into some other stuff, and there was like Psychic TV, Swans, all this original press stuff, and like a lot of like weird, like avant-garde, like jazz noise shit. A lot of
Fucking
what is
Goldmine.
that? Yeah, like a lot like John Zorn stuff, and like I was like picked through all of it. There was it was not Painkiller, whatever. One of the John Zorn's bands. There's a bunch of shit in there, but yeah, it was so cool. That was probably like the biggest grail that like came in for me personally. It was just all that weird, just crazy shit that's like really expensive, really hard to come by. Especially it was a lot of like a little rarer Psychic TV stuff and like Genesis stuff, Genesis Bjork stuff. But that was super cool.
Yeah, I don't know, Alpina's weird with their music selection. We come across a lot of classic rock staples and sort of things like that, which are great because they sell every day, and I need to have shit that sells too, not just what I like. But
Definitely.
we come across all that, but like once in a while, yeah, we do find some cool shit. Like there was a collector I know that's in the Detroit area that brought up some stuff because we also sell vintage toys and stuff like that out of the store. So like
Okay.
GI Joes and fucking Star Wars toys, Ninja Turtles, shit like that, all over the place. And he was bringing up some stuff for trades. But there's this old hip hop group out of the 90s called Diamond D and the Psychotic Neurotics. And there was an original DJ promo copy of their Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop record. And it was like, he had like $20 written on it or something like that. And I was like, is that for sale? Because they made a deal on some other shit. But I just like picked that one thing and I was like, can I buy this? And he didn't know it was the DJ promo copy, and it's worth like $350 or something like that. And there's very, very, very few ever done, and the ones that were obviously used for DJs, so they were scratched to shit. But this one was like perfect.
Sure. I mean, I don't know how profitable it'll be for you guys to set up, but me and my buddy Jeff Uberti, who is in Hellmouth, some other bands, we do a record swap every few months. It's called the Gimme Gimme Record Show. Come down, hang up, or if you guys want to set up, I mean, it'd be cool to have you too. We can talk about that later, but just to plug that real quick, it's always a fun time. It's over at the Sanctuary in Hamtramck.
Okay.
What's the date on that? About
Sure, I've been to it.
We
think
we don't have the next one set up totally yet.
okay.
We're gonna do one. We're gonna do one in Flint soon too, over at the Flint local, over by Jack's Record Stash. Our buddy Jerry runs that. So, but yeah, and I'll definitely send you the info for that if you guys are interested in setting up or just come and hang out. It's always a fun time. I mean, it's like you got all these record shows, all these classic record shows, and this one is definitely more catered to like punk hardcore. But you got a lot of awesome guys in there. You got Ricky Rat, local legend, John, who owns Village Vinyl, drummer Negative Approach, Davey from Amino Acids, a lot of awesome people up in there selling records. So
yeah, definitely shoot me the
Yeah,
info, and
fucking
even
get
if we
at us.
don't set up to it, like we'll come down for it for sure. We did a show
Yeah.
at Bell's Brewery in Kalamazoo last summer, and like it was a lot of fun. Like I didn't make like a ton of money or anything, but I didn't really go to make the money. Like I just went because I wanted a record shop for one, but we took like our podcast banner down there and passed out podcast cards to like every single person there, and like that was our main goal, was to just plug the podcast. Like the record show was just a bonus.
For sure. Yeah, I love record shows. They're so fun.
We used to have one here, but the three guys that ran it, like once in a while you'd find something out of place. Like I found a Mutoid Man record there one time. Jeremy found like a Madball 7-inch.
Yeah, very random.
It's like
things.
few and far between. But like I found a Houdini and a box of Tina Turner and shit.
Yeah. But that's what it's about. It's about, the hunt. It's like you can go on Discogs and buy almost anything. And if I did that, I could, right now I could make my record collection go up from to 1,000 more records.
Oh,
but it's about going out in the wild and finding that shit. Like that's the part. Like I've bought and sold records so many times just to go back out and find them. And it sounds dumb, but it's like,
no, yeah,
it's fun to do.
100%.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Because I've done it, and like, I don't know, but I say the same exact thing. Like on my Discogs list, there's a ton of shit on there, and it's out there for sale, but I'd love to just come across it. Like, it makes it that much more rewarding to find it rather than just hitting order, and then you're like, okay, I gotta wait for this to ship. Cool, open the box, but it's less rewarding and less exciting when you already know that it's on the way.
For sure, yeah.
I didn't get to ask this, but going back to like earlier on before you started the label, what got you into just hardcore and music in general?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I guess growing up in a musical household might not be like the right word. Like, music in general has always been like important. Like, nobody like really played instruments in my house. Like that came later for me, but, my dad was a big rock and roll fan. So he grew up with like Black Sabbath is one of like my earliest like favorite bands and stuff like that. Neil Young, CCR, stuff like that. So my dad was always listening to, rock and roll. My mom was always listening to, R&B and stuff like, Peabo Bryson, Tina Turner, or whatever, all that shit, so always listen to a lot of music. And then I would say like probably my introduction to any kind of heavier music besides like MTV and VH1 and watching music videos and stuff like that was like, I was a big, like I said, Black Sabbath fan. So I saw they were coming on Ozfest one year, and I was like, Dad, we got to go to Ozfest. And, there's some other bands I was interested in there, like Slipknot was playing or whatever. And that kind of caught my eye on some other bands, some smaller bands. So that was like a little kind of gateway. Cause like from rock into hardcore, it was like rock, nu metal, hardcore, right? So that's kind of like the timeline of genre. Still a big nu metal fan to this day, but
that actually makes a lot of sense because I think nu metal, somebody's gonna kill me for this, but I think nu metal kind of ties into hardcore with this slight like hip hop sort of influence in there.
Oh, I agree. It's like
on the thumbcore, rapcore side for sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying every nu metal band sounds like a hardcore band. I'm just saying if you take it on the surface, like it makes sense how you could transition from one to another.
Oh, most definitely. Aggressive
for sure.
music.
Yeah, it's like, I grew up in Tony Hawk Pro Skater era, so it was like punk music was like on my radar, but like it was never.
Everybody loved Goldfinger.
Yeah, oh yeah. Honestly, that's like the only Goldfinger song I like.
I know.
And it's like whatever. And so that was cool. But yeah, it was like I was really big into nu metal, and so I started going to, seeing Slipknot and Korn and whoever else a lot. And I remember I got this Headbangers Ball CD, wherever it came out, and there was Eton Concrete was on it. And honestly, that might have been the gateway for me. It was like, wow, they're nu metal enough and hardcore enough to be like, spike my interest in something different. So I like, okay, so I have that. And then I heard Biohazard, and it was like still kind of like that nu metalish kind of thing going on. And then it was like, oh wow, these like all these hardcore bands they play with. I'm like, who is that? And then it's like still kind of in like the nu metal wave, right? And then that was around, it's still like middle school era. And then around late middle school, early high school, I had this friend who introduced me to a lot of like the Ferret Trustco bands. And then that was like game over. I was like, yo, what's this shit? I fucking love it. So like, I guess your traditional sense of like hardcore didn't really come in to the picture until later in life. Like I had to go back and like your negative approaches, you know, like Madball and Terror, those always bands I was really into because like you know they were playing with the like I mean they were on, you know,
Right. They were
some of
on
those
big
labels at one
bills
point.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So like those bands, like those are like the gateway bands of like hardcore, I think, for that time, right? But like some of the other like more like faster hardcore stuff, I wasn't into until later on. Like I didn't, or like say like Cole's Life, for example. I don't know who the fuck Cole's Life was till I was like probably 17, right? So and I'm you know almost 34 now. Yeah, so you know rock and roll, new metal, metalcore, I guess you can say for that time and stuff like that. And then the rest is history. But yeah, I mean it's my dad, like I said, was really into rock and roll and did that. And some friends lead me along the way. I had a like Jeff Uberti, you know, he got me into a lot of stuff. I remember this guy Ian Courtney used to work at the record shop that I ended up working at, and I was buying a Slipknot CD or something shit like that. And he was like, "Hey, listen to this band Morning Again." And I was like, "Oh, well, now that's my introduction to straight edge." You know, it's like, "What is this?"
Isn't there a
And
Rancid song about a dude named Ian Courtney?
I don't
I
know.
I feel like it rings a
don't
bell
know.
for some reason.
I don't think so.
No, I could be totally
Yeah,
wrong.
Ian Courtney was. I mean, Ian Courtney
That's probably not the
is.
same dude, I'm sure, but
Yeah, I don't know. Is like he's a local hardcore dude. I mean, he was in he played bass and Poison Well for a minute though. I mean, he was did some backing vocals on Terror's Lowest of the Low, but he was in Coalition for a minute. Hawkeye,
David Courtney, that's what it was. My bad.
Dave Courtney. Okay, yeah, Ian's a great guy, but yeah, you know, he introduced me. So just along the way, you know, different people like kind of snowballing got me into different things, and here I am now. You know, just into a bunch of different shit. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that answered your question. Sorry, I just kind of rambled on.
No, that fucking perfect answer. That's the type of answer I look for.
Were you saying something earlier about what's your connection with Suffocate Faster?
So that I mean the band grew up loving, right? Kind of
Yeah.
one of those things where I just like uh hit up Chris one day and we started talking about things and we're like, hey, you want to do a record? And I was like, I think it was kind of around the same time I was doing Let It Die. And because I can't remember which one first came first, was it was either Let It Die or Suffocate Faster, whichever idea came up first. But whichever one like kind of piggybacked off the other one. And because they've been friends for a long time. So yeah, it was just, you know, just kind of right place, right time. Chris is a great guy, you know. Cincinnati Hardcore is fucking awesome. We actually have another Suffocate Faster record coming out soon. But yeah,
Word
just kind of,
it.
you know, what's that?
Nothing. That's a good thing, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna do another reissue. But yeah, just one of those things, just right time, right place, right conversations.
You said you were in some bands yourself too, yeah?
Yeah, so no one probably remembers this band, but I was in a band called Megalodon in high school, and we played, you know, some show. We played with like Hoods, played this place called Static Age all the time, just a metal band for a lack of better words. And then I was in a band called Not Okay, which was kind of like a late '90s, early 2000s screamo influenced band, you know, noisy hardcore kind of thing. Only put out one recorded EP. Was a band for about 10 years, you know, did whatever we did. Never toured, you know, just always local band. I was in Rust and Shit for a little bit, played bass in that band.
Oh, that's right.
I did some
Rest and shit.
Yep.
I,
I did some
I was
noise.
trying to think of
Some
the
noise
names mentioned earlier, and I was like, I knew
Yeah.
there was one that I
Yeah.
was like, good fucking name.
That's what made me think
Yeah.
of Suffocate Faster. I couldn't recall if you said you played in with them or what, and then so I'm
No,
glad.
yeah, I would love to play with them, but they have a solid lineup right now.
Right.
And then I was in some noise project. I'm in a new band called Fight for Your Life, with Andre from Under the Knife. So we got that going right now.
Writing all this
And
stuff down.
I actually just dropped a new song today. The whole EP is done and recorded. but we're trying to, space the singles out. So we have a new song that dropped today. We have a new song that drops next week, and then the full EP will be out in February. So.
Okay, sweet. Do you have an Instagram and stuff for that band?
We do, yeah. So it's XFFYLX. It's just Fight for Your Life abbreviated. We had to be very specific about doing the X Fight for Your Life X because there's already a band called Fight for Your Life. They're like a Christian metal band or some shit. So we had to make sure the X's are in there so they don't get sued.
And
yeah.
What do you play? I don't remember if you mentioned that or not.
So in that band, I'm just doing vocals, but I play guitar and bass. I mean, I played bass and rest and shit. I did some guitar work with Not Okay. I was mainly vocals in that, but I doing just vocals in this. Pretty excited about it. I mean, I haven't been in a band since 2020. Andre's fucking musical genius. It's really cool to I kind of gave him this vision and he made it come alive and put his own little thing on it, and I'm really stoked to be doing it with we don't really have a full lineup yet. We have a few friends of ours that are going to kind of come on and do some live stuff when the time comes. So it was just him and I that did all the music together and recorded. So it's really awesome to do. I'm excited for everyone to hear it. It is a straight edge band, but it's not like, I don't think it fits the current mold of like what's going on in Detroit. I think it does do something different. It's kind of always what I've been about. My musical tastes are all over the place, so I want to kind of emulate a little bit of that and put some different kind of twang on it a little bit, and I don't want to be like every other current Detroit. And not saying that every band is the same, but I do feel like they all fit.
No, but it's definitely easy to fit yourself into a mold of similar sounding stuff.
Yeah. It's like, you got like D Block doing their thing, which I guess is like that, kind of like bouncy hardcore, whatever. Annie Up, you more like the beat down kind of stuff. Doubt It doing their whatever their little, I don't even know what to call it. It's their little thing. Enemy of God with the more like early 2000s metalcore. But like this one is like what we're doing. It's just so fucking all over the place. You got one song that's like, straight up like pissed off in your face hardcore. You got another one that's like just fast, more power violence, some slow songs, got some clean vocals and some of them. And just, I've never wanted to keep it one thing in any band I've ever been in. I always want to do something different and kind of keep people on their toes, I guess. And it might have something to do where it's like, I can't keep my mind in one place. It might be negative at the end of the day that I can't just keep it one fucking music. But I don't know. I don't care.
Oh man, I think it's cool that it all sound a little different. If you listen to a record and it's all in the same key, and you fall asleep, like it's just, things are strange like that.
Now we do a Bury Your Dead song, kind of. It's the Bury Your Dead song note for note, but then we change the lyrics to Fight for Your Fucking Life besides Bury Your Fucking Dead.
Gotcha.
And it's super cool. We a lot of the EP is just like kind of like taken from things that the name itself is from a Black My Heart lyric, and so things like that's cool. And there's some other things that like you hear it, and it's like, oh, you definitely like inspired or got inspiration from a different song for that. So I'm excited about it.
Cool.
Hey, you said you're going to be releasing. You're trying to kind of milk the singles, or do you have a release date for the whole EP yet, or no?
So what is it? February. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but so not this Sunday, but next Sunday is the full release.
Okay, cool.
So
the whole thing will be out then, anyways.
So by
the
4th,
people are listening to this, they're like, "Man, we already heard it."
Yeah, Sunday the 4th is going to be out. Yeah. But yeah.
Are you planning on releasing that through your label?
Oh yeah, we're just gonna do some CDs.
Cool.
Yeah, just to get something out there. All that's going on with that band right now.
No touring or anything like that? Even like playing shows or whatever? Not touring, of course you're not going to tour, but...
we'll play shows eventually, but it's
He's like, I got 6 dates
definitely,
set up in England.
yeah, it's definitely not like a priority right now. You know, as we're
Right.
trying to get some music out there. We'll play eventually whenever we can, because I don't want to play some half-ass show. I want to get a good lineup together.
Oh,
You know,
most definitely.
I want to make an impression, I guess, and you know, we want to have fun, but also too, you know, it's like I'm very much in the showmanship, and I don't want it to be just us on stage, you know, playing a show. I want it to be a show, like almost like an actual like performance. I've always been a performer before a musician.
Okay.
Those are two different things, but two necessary things to have together, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, there's a
for sure.
difference
I want to.
between being a musician and a showman. Like, there are some terrible musicians that are huge, that are great showmen, and they're huge because they're great showmen. I mean, that shit can sell.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best shows I've ever played, we sounded like shit, you know, with Not Okay specifically, and
Yeah.
it didn't. People come up to us like, "Yo, that was insane," and I was like,
What?
"Oh, thanks, we sucked," but it was because you know it was the show that they saw. It wasn't the music they heard, and that
Right.
was always cool.
Yeah, it's cool to redeem yourself that way when you think you're bad, but somebody else remembers it because they're like, "Yeah, they sucked, but check this out! Like they were nuts."
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have the energy anymore to, you know, hang from rafters and toss my body around as much as I did, you know, my early 20s, but I'm still gonna give people, you know, a good ride.
Do the 30-year-old version of hanging from a rafter, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
You just gotta stretch before and like, you know, do a little warm ups now, kind of some.
Stretching's important, man.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah, no, for
one
sure.
more thing before, unless Jeremy has any questions
No,
that he wanted to get off.
No, I think we're. I think I got everything. I like.
I
Bunch
got
of
two more
answers
things,
except for
actually,
the
technically.
normal one, and
Yeah, I was gonna get to the question after this.
but I'm thinking
I did
about
want to
this
ask
fucking
if
exhaust.
you have, for your label, like, do you have any kind of like wish list bands that you want to work with?
Absolutely. On Broken Wings, that's my wish list band.
Okay.
That'd be dope.
I've hit them up a million times, and uh there's some other bands too. I mean, Winter Solstice is a band I would love to do. E-Town Concrete, which is I've also been left on red a million times. But On Broken Wings is the number one band. When I started this label and wanted to do reissues specifically, they were the band that was like, okay, I want to do them. And hasn't happened yet. Maybe it never will, but that's the wish list right there.
Right on.
Well, hopefully they hear this and get on board, dude.
Yeah, if they do, cool. If they don't, you know, it's I still got the CDs.
Yeah, we got some wish list podcast guests, so I get it.
Absolutely. Do you got any more questions at all?
Yeah, the last thing before we wrap things up here is, I'm sure you've heard this on other episodes, but what's one thing that you listen to that people would not expect you to listen to?
I mean, at this point, I feel like I don't know, maybe expect to listen to everything. I've been listening to a lot of that new Olivia Rodrigo record. So my favorite records that's been released in the past, you know, year or so. The new Billie Eilish song from Barbie. Can't stop fucking listening to it. Peebo Bryson is one of my favorite R&B artists. Really big into that.
I love Peebo Bryson. And I always think about
Yeah.
that self-titled lyric from that fucking Army of the Pharaohs song where he's like, I'm singing love ballads to bitches like Peebo Bryson.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess those are some good ones. I mean, I like everything. So it's anyone that's like in my circle kind of knows that I'm very all over the place. But yeah, I think that would be some good ones.
Yeah, we are too. That's why I ask. I mean, like, on my way here, I was listening to Christina Aguilera, so
Hell yeah, it's a
there's
bop
that.
for sure. Well, my son's been getting really into like boy bands and stuff, so we've been listening to a lot of Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. You know, just not
Yeah.
that those are a lot of bands I listened to when I was younger, but my sister was into them. So I definitely
there was
heard it
no
a lot.
escaping them, though. Like, no matter what, if you were alive
Yeah.
at that point and over 10 years old, you heard it.
I can't talk
Yeah.
about those things on air, man.
Yeah, I guess this might be a better one that people might not expect, because you know, I feel like a lot of like pop music, a lot of people listen to pop music. I'm really big into like early like MySpace scene music. Like, that's probably my weakness. Like that first like Devil Wears Prada record. I love that shit.
Or like
Or like
Hollywood Undead shit.
I listen to Hollywood Dead a little bit. Sometimes like I don't like that anymore. But sometimes I listen to it, I was like, man, it's just like brings back some weird memories.
Yeah, that's just the only
That does remind me a lot of MySpace.
MySpace because I remember that was the like that band got a deal without ever playing a fucking show because they had like 1 million followers or whatever.
I was thinking like Chiodos
For sure.
and
It's
shit
fucking
like that.
like that blew me away, dude.
Silverstein.
Oh
yes.
that whole era.
Scary Kids scaring kids.
Just Scary Kids is definitely one of those first 2 records. Love them. They're fucking great.
Yeah. No, I went back, like, it was a while ago now, but I went back and listened to a bunch of that stuff that I remember hearing as a teenager just to see if it, like, aged well, because there's shit that I hadn't heard in forever. And I'm like, okay, let's see what, 13-year-old me was jamming. And
For sure.
you go back and some of it holds and some of it you're like, oh, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but, it is what it is.
For sure. But yeah, I think those are some good answers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, before we sign off here, do you have anything that you want to get off your chest? Social media plugs, anything like that?
I mean, yeah, it's the Over and Out page. It's just Over and Out Recordings. There is a one that is inactive. It's with the and sign. That is not an active page. It's the one with like the black logo, and you'll see there's pictures on it and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it'll be linked in the episode description, so anybody listening, just click that. You can get to their Instagram.
Yeah, the Fight for Your Life page.
I'll put
that's
that
on there too. Awesome. I mean, yeah, I just I guess I want to put on the last note. Just support your local scene, support your friends and what they do. Mad respect for all Michigan bands. Ohio bands too. I love Ohio hardcore. Shout at Collide Records, Top Floor Tapes, D Block, Never Ending Game. Annie Up, Enemy of God, Vigilante, going forever. Every band that Joe Plonky's in, he's in a new band called Die Hard with Kenny Smith from Retribution, Nick Hubbard, and Jake plays in Big Deal as well, a bunch of other bands. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm putting myself on the spot now. I'm forgetting people. But anyways, just support your local scene.
As soon as you
support
get
your
off,
friends.
You'll be like, shit, I forgot that guy.
Yeah.
It happens.
Detroit
every
hardcore
time.
for fucking ever. Yeah, Detroit hardcore for fucking ever. But yeah, it's I guess is all I really gotta say.
Awesome.
I appreciate you, man.
We appreciate you jumping on the show. It was really cool getting to hear about the label and talk with you. I'm glad we finally got to make it happen.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, we had a good time. But,
keep putting out fucking kick-ass albums, man, because we appreciate those too.
Like I said, I'm not gonna stop until I get more no's and yeses. So
hell yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Take it easy and go Lions.